This is how wicked prison is. Okay, what happened was this guy. He was actually a young kid. I want to say he was about 18, 19 years old. Already got a federal charge and we're in the feds together. So he was young. He was young. He wasn't no 20. He was like, so he went and messed up with the gang, and so he's getting ready for a visit one morning. While he's getting ready for that visit, he comes out of the shower. He has a shower shoes, a towel on his shoulder. He goes into his cell. Well, three of his own homeboys, hey, what's up, man? One goes in, hey, you're talking to him while he's getting ready for his visit. They go to talking, hey, yeah. So he's got his back to him. It's his homeboy. So when he goes to turn, boom, he hits him. Well, there's two more guys waiting outside the door, and they rush in there.
Welcome back to another episode. Today I'm joined by a returning guest named Jamie Botello. This is part number 3. He is a former prison gangster that found God. Jamie shares with us today how prison changes a person, how he was also able to study the Word of God for 2 years straight, how he got out of prison and had some slip-ups, and how he eventually got back on track. Jamie has accomplished many things since he has given his life to the Lord. Part 1 and Part 2 of Jamie's stories can be found in the video description below. Please subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this, and without further ado, let's get into Jamie's Part 3. All right, everyone, welcome back to a Part 3 with Jamie. Jamie has been on now with 3 times, and we're going to talk about prison and why you should not go. Jamie, thank you for coming on, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for, wanting me again as your guest. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, well, thank you for wanting to come back on, man, for a 3rd time. But, in today's show, we're going to be talking about a topic on why people shouldn't go to prison. And so you obviously been there through the stories that we've talked about. And, why exactly, in your words, shouldn't someone go to prison? What did you experience in particular?
Okay. I have these stories. I have many stories, but just 2 I'm going to tell. And I don't mean to disrespect nobody. That's not my life no more. As anybody sees these videos, I'm just telling you what happened. And my main objective is I don't want no kid, nobody to go to prison. I don't want people to think it's cool. I'm not glorifying prison, and I'm telling these stories to hopefully that people look up to Jesus now and avoid all this stuff. But I remember me and you were talking a second ago, and I was bringing up how prison, it's a whole different world, and it'll turn you into a person that you weren't before. And so I just have these 2 stories, and I'll tell one. It's when that's what I mean. No disrespect on anybody, and I'm not gonna say no name, but I'm just saying this is just what happened. This is my story because it's happened to me. I was there, so I know what's going on. Well, this was on my heart because today's kids and today's people, they think like prison is cool, and they think that it's fun, or it's they're kind of like glorifying it. No, I'm not glorifying prison, and like I said earlier, I'm saying this so you won't go there, and I don't want kids to go there, and I don't want nobody to deal with these things. But the anger, I already was an angry person before, but what I mean is I was a cool angry. I mean, I hung out, I would go party, I would go, and I wasn't always trying to look for a fight or bullying. But what I'm telling you, what prison can do. What happened was I get locked up for this dope charge. I'm in a federal holding in San Antonio, Texas, and something, whatever goes on. I'm from Austin, so I don't know what happened over there, but all I know is we're in a tank, and it holds like 20 people. It's always overcrowded, and they brought some guys in on on cots, and put the cots down the center of the walkway over the living area. And so we're there, and so one night, 2 gang members from another gang got on each side of this one cot. Well, come to find out, there was a guy there that they had been trying to get. And so I didn't know. So I'm there, and they'll tell you, hey, stay out of the way. So I get back on my bunk, and I'm looking this in the nighttime. The guy's asleep, and he's asleep on his back. And when he's asleep on his back, one guy gets on one side, one gang member, one gets on the other side, and his face is looking straight up. He's asleep. One gets on one side and hits him, and another one gets on the other side and hits him, and his face is just going back and forth. Well, when he goes to get up, they hit him again and knock him out. So he's there in his cot, and they're just hitting him, and it's like his face is just going back and forth. One hits it, and the other one hits it back. And so they're basically beating this guy up in his sleep. And like I said, I was already violent and angry, but it's like a, I want to say a spirit, a demon. All of a sudden, this darkness got on me to where I had made up my mind, which I already had that type of mind, but it's like it went into, what do they say, 2.0 or whatever that new they're saying now. It got in overdrive till I said, this ain't gonna happen to me. I'd rather kill or be killed. And that's what I'm saying is this prison had made me even, worse than I already was. It's like it came on me like a blanket. And so that's why I was telling the kids, don't, this stuff is just, it got on me. Like I said, I was already violent. Now all of a sudden I'm really like, this ain't never gonna happen to me, man. They ever try some, or like I said, I ain't Superman, but I had that mentality. Either I'm gonna get killed or I'm gonna kill somebody. Either way, it's gonna be a death or a murder. Either one. This is the mentality I had. So then, fast forward now, like I said, I had this happen in a federal holding. Well, fast forward to this other story. I get to Beaumont, like I explained on the other, and this is another story I'm telling because I don't, like I said earlier, I don't want the kids to think this is something glorified. This is something you want to do because, or anybody watching this. And like I said, anybody watching this, no matter grown up kid, because I met guys for their first time going to prison. They were already in their 40s and never been. So I've seen it. I'm like, what? This your first time? He said, yeah. And I'm like, man, you're doing stuff that young kids. And so this one, I just want the people to know is that when you decide to join a gang or even because some aren't actually gang members, they're just friends. It it's gonna be the person who knows you to go and get you, the person that you trust. And this story sticks out to me real tough, and it's been on me to say it. That's why I don't want, like I said, I've seen shows, I've seen movies. Oh, it's cool. No, it's not. And this is what I mean. This is how, as you say, scandalous. This is how wicked prison is. Okay, when it's time to go move on you in your own group, they send people that you're comfortable with them. You're gonna let them in your cell. You're not even gonna see it coming. And so one day, what happened was a guy. It was in my group. Like I said, I was with Tango Black. A guy had messed up with his group out in the yard. Something happened, and he was. So they said, "Hey, man, they're gonna smash him out. He's got to go." So in the yard, they're like, "Hey, you know what? All right, we'll talk about it." So I guess he was kind of cocky, like, "I ain't gonna do it." So he goes back to the unit, and he was getting a visit that morning, and it was like I told you on the last video. They have that 10-minute move, and the guards go out, and the whole it's open. There's not a guard in there, and so what happened was this guy, he was actually a young kid. I want to say he was about 18, 19 years old, already got a federal charge and we're in the feds together. So he was young. He was young. He wasn't no 20. He was like a teenager, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old at the oldest. So he went and messed up with the gang. And so he's getting ready for a visit one morning. And while he's getting ready for that visit, he comes out of the shower. He has a shower shoes, a towel on his shoulder. He goes into his cell. Well, three of his own homeboys, hey, what's up, man? One goes in, hey, you're talking to him while he's getting, combing his hair, getting ready for his visit. They go to talking, hey, yeah. So he's got his back to him. It's his homeboy. So when he goes to turn, boom, he hits him. Well, there's two more guys waiting outside the door, and they rush in there. So all three of them smash him out. It's called smash him out. They smash him out, send him on top, meaning he's got to go. Well, he goes up and they send him to the hole. But since it just happened that morning, his privileges hasn't been taken away. So, but now he's in orange, he's in the hole. Well, I have a visit that morning. I know God let this happen for a reason because now I talk to people and I tell them, okay, my heart then, like I said, I done seen that guy beat up. So my heart was, wicked. It was, I didn't have feelings, because before all this happened, like when I see somebody get beat up, I'm like, hey, man, hey, kind of take it easy on, you didn't have to. But after I saw that dude get in his sleep, it was just, I had gotten real darker. So, okay, here, I'm at that visit. Let me go back to where I was at. So I'm at visit and I'm sitting there with my girl, which is my wife now. She's my girlfriend. And at that visit, I'm looking up and I see them walk him in because even though you went on top or you're in the hole, you still get the visit, but they put you in a room like a cell and they'll let you go in there and visit whoever came. Well, that kid's mom came to visit him that day. And I don't know why he didn't refuse it. And I'm going to speak like the way I was then. Now, anyway, so they put him in that room. His mom's away. No, he goes in first and he's in that room waiting. And then, or vice versa. I'm not sure. But anyway, then the whole moral of the story is that when his mom gets in there, I just hear her start screaming. Ah! Because his face had gotten mangled. He got knots in his eye and so at that time, my heart said, man, why did he take that visit? And then so my girl's like, what's going on? I said, that kid that's in there right now, he got messed up with the homie. So that's what I'm saying. I'm telling it at that time. Now, man, my heart goes out. But so then I told my girl, I said, well, he had no business, messing up. He should have had known better. And I don't know why he came to that visit. And so I hear his mom screaming at that visit because when she walks in, now that I know, your kids are your babies, you don't, but at that time, like I said, my mind was messed up. I was already, so I had told my girl, well, he should have messed up. He should have thought, I don't know why he took that visit. That was then. So now I know God let remember these things because when I had got saved, all these things started coming to me and I felt so bad for that lady. I said, man, and her seeing her son all beat up like that. I heard her screaming in the visitation room off in the cell. So like I said, I know God allowed me to hear that because then I didn't care, but now I know. And so I tell these kids, hey man, the guy's gonna go get you. He's your friend that you're gonna eat with. You let him in your cell. He's gonna, and that's why I was saying how wicked that prison is, and not only that, how hard you can let your heart get. And that's why I wanted to tell these two stories. So you don't allow your heart to get that hard because there's some people who don't make it back. Their heart gets so hard they just stay angry and all I can say is I thank God that he penetrated my heart and allowed me to get saved and wake up when he called me to serve him. So that was, it was on me to tell the kid, don't, this prison is, it's not what you think it is. Your friend's going to get you. The other one says, oh, I'm going to be there for you. He's going to tell on you. I mean, it's a whole different world. Like I said, but I'm just saying now, I've seen guys that let their friend go over, or he's the one who's going to be talking to his girl. I mean, it's nothing but wicked. You serve the enemy, you're going to get those type of, I guess you want to say, treats or whatever. You serve Satan, this is the rewards he's going to give. You know what I mean?
Just to hear the kind of transformation, that you experienced, like in the beginning, your heart was hardened by these events. And then after, you matured out of that, or, you found the Lord and still in prison. And then over time, these events, they started hitting you like and you would recall them. and you're like, man, wow, like eventually over years and years pass, and you start recalling and remember these events. Is that kind of like how they would come back in your head, like these
Yeah,
events, like how they are today?
yeah, because it wasn't immediate when I got saved, and all of a sudden it was a process. My heart started tenderizing because even when
Yeah,
I first got saved, I was still, like I said, in the other one, carrying a knife and a Bible in it. And as my walk grew and I allowed Jesus, I kept reading His Word, kept filling my heart more with Him. The anger was leaving, and mercy was coming in. So I was reading. He's the more Bible I'd read and go in prayer and go to church and just kept worshiping, it was like a cleansing. He was giving me His things, and that anger and that, before I didn't have no heart. Now I'm regretting what I've done and was asking forgiveness and saying, Lord, I want to help people, but yeah, it was a journey. It wasn't overnight,
yeah,
but it was, as you're right, as I kept going on, 1 year
mhm,
turning into, because like we talked before, this January, 17 years, I've been serving God. And it wasn't, and as I kept going on, yes, my heart was getting softer and softer, and I was allowing the Lord to deal with me, and I didn't want all that anger and all that hurt and all that hatred no more. And yes, and all those memories started to come back little by little of what I had seen and what I'd been a part of, and stuff that I used to have joy for, fighting. I used to be able to release my anger by fighting, and now I'm like, no, man, I don't want to fight. I'd rather pray for you and hug you now, so but that's what God can do. It's the miracle working power of Jesus, what He can do in your life. I did these things. I'm not making, there's so many stories, even worse than these, but we're limited for time. This is just two stories that I wanted to tell
yeah.
for now, but there was worse stuff I was involved in.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that that's a good. Those two stories are good, really, to put out there and to show what you have experienced and what you went through, and the transformation of your heart, your mind, and everything that you went through just in that amount of time, through your time experience, through prison, and getting out through this whole 17-year process. I mean, so is that what you kind of want to slide into now? Is through your notes that you had written down? I mean, is that
Oh, yeah, because like when you're that, hey, well, when you got home, so yeah, I gave my life to the Lord in prison, and we
Mhm.
went through those first two stories on the other. Well, then I get home, and I'll be honest, when you're a new Christian, please listen, or you're a new believer, or God's dealing with you. Please, the Lord puts other people by you so you can listen. That's why I go to here. When I first got out for 2 years, I was in prison. I gave my life to the Lord in '08, and in 2010 I got out. But for 2 years of straight, because in the federal prison they give you freedom of religion. So what I love, I thank God He saved me in there, because in the feds they give you uh, a Bible room, they give you a VCR. Back then it was VCRs. I'm pretty sure they updated now, but like I said, this is almost 20 years ago. They had a VCR, and they would let you see all the Christian tapes you wanted, or if whatever religion you were, you could go over there and go watch it. So for 2 years, you're talking about. That's why I was trying to go to Bible school when I got out, but just one pastor told me, "Man, you got a doctorate." He said, "Because what you're telling me, because for 2 years straight, prison's prison. Every day is the same." So, out here in the world, you got your wife to go home to, you got your job to go out. You got things that you have to, kids to take care of. Well, then I'd wake up, go to the Christian library, read books, watch tapes 7 days a week. When I got saved, my heart was on fire for God. And it is still. That's how I know you have to feed yourself, because I'm just as hungry now as I was when I first got saved, going on 17 years ago. So I was going to that law, I mean, not law, I was going to the Christian library, reading books, watching tapes. I was eating just, man, anything I could get, and I was in there just learning and building myself up, and but also too, that's why I don't mind telling, I got prideful, because when I got out, I was just for sure that the minute I got out, I was gonna walk into a room and everybody was gonna get saved, because they're gonna say, "Man, we remember this guy. This guy's drunk and fighting, and so I was just sure that I was gonna go and everybody was gonna get saved the minute I just walked in, because the life I used to live, and now I'm over here carrying a Bible. Yeah, so I started going around old friends, but to tell them about God, and had nothing to do with trying to go hang out. And so yeah, they heard me once, they heard me twice, but even my mom said, "Hey, you just got home. If I was you, I wouldn't be going around those old friends no more." I said, "Oh, Mom, I'm telling them about God. I'm not going over there to go do none of that stuff." And I'm thinking, man, I've been in 7 days a week, which I was reading my Bible. And when I was in prison, I would wake up, and like I said, ordinary day, I could sit there and read my Bible 2, 3, 4, 5 hours straight. I got to I was reading my Bible 2 to 3 times, even 4 times a year, because like I said, I don't have to get up and go to work. It's every day I can read my word. I don't have to go nowhere. I'm there in cell. And so all day, there was days all day just reading. So for those 2 years, I was reading my Bible no less than 3 times a year. For 2 years, I'm reading, going to to the chapel. And so when I got out, I'm thinking, so my mom had even said, "Hey, calm down on going." I said, "Mom, I'm not drinking. I'm not doing what they're doing. I went over there to go tell them about God." Once they heard me, twice they were kind. The third time, I'm drinking a beer with them. And I'm like, "God," and I heard him. I heard him clearly. I said, "God, why would you let me fall? I was only coming over here to tell them about you." And I heard him in my spirit, clear as day. He said, "I didn't send you." And I said, "What?" And I'm thinking, wait, you want everybody to hear the gospel. He said, "Read my word." Well, I kept reading. What kept popping out to me is when Jesus left, he said, "Go in the upper room and don't move until I tell you." He said, "The coming of the Holy Spirit." But he told him, in other words, go in the upper room. And I have a sermon. It's like everybody's upper room is different. In other words, he was saying, don't move till I tell you. You went off on your own. And I wound up falling. I wound up drinking. I wound up going back, hanging out with old friends. I'm going back, doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. I'm this close to start selling drugs again. I was like, no, Lord. But this is when I learned the difference in a backslide, because the Bible says about, and a fall. I had fallen because every time I did something wrong, it was just like torture. And now I know it was conviction of the Holy Spirit. And I would go drink and party, and it was like, why am I doing this? And I say, God, why? And so that lasted for about a span of 6 to 8 months. And I just kept saying, Lord, why did you? No, what? The one time I said, why you let me fall? He goes, I didn't. You went, and I didn't tell you to go. You stay put, and I'll prepare you when it's time for you to go out. And then so I went through all that. So maybe 6 to 8 to 10 months, I was in and out going, but God gives dreams because God speaks in dreams. And I'll tell you one, I had a friend who sold drugs with me. He got caught and he said, yeah, I'll help you. And he ran to Mexico. So he gave 3 names. I was one of them. He said, hey, if you see so-and-so, and me, one of us, he goes, call me. So remember, I'm drinking now. I go to this one party and a phone gets handed to me. I'm like, hello? Hey, I said, hey, man, what's going on? It was my friend who ran to Mexico to go hide. Well, when he ran to Mexico, he got plugged in with bigger people, and he goes, hey, man, I need to talk to you. I want to start, in other words, start moving dope. I want to start sending stuff. I said, but he don't want to talk on the phone. So I know what he was saying. He goes, hey, look, I need you to come down here and talk to me. My cousin, the one who called you, get with him and he'll give you information. I said, okay. All right, man. So I said, man, good talking to you. I ain't heard from you in a while, man. All right, man. So I hang up. And then his cousin says, hey, look, man, he gave 3 names. You're one of them. If I ever saw y'all, call him around the spot. And like I said, my whole life, I was known for not selling drugs. So he had given him my name. If you ever see him, call me right then and there. So I talked to his cousin. I said, hey, look, And at that time, I'm still getting conviction from the Lord. I'm like, man, I know that if I deal with this guy, he's going to be bringing it straight. And I'm going to get bigger now. And I'm thinking, man, so I know I'm getting conviction. So I told that his cousin, hey, look, let me have your number. And when I'm ready, I'll give you a call and you can get me connect. Tell him I'll go down there and meet him. So this is on a Saturday, the very next day. It was either that Sunday or the following Sunday. I don't want to exaggerate, but it was my dad's preaching. And I'm sitting there and he looked straight at me and he said, look, there's some people that are looking for you way down in Mexico, but don't do it. The Lord is, he had no idea that I had just talked to that guy. And right then and there, I said, Lord, help me come back. Help me. So I never called him. I knew that was God. And I have more stories like that, but that'll be another of when God had just, well, I'll be real quick on this one. I was going to get longer sentence when I was in prison. And that's how I know God speaks in dreams. He is real. He will show you things because, be real quick, go to the prison story real quick because this is a dream. There was a guy who owed me some money. Let me go back real quick. There was a guy who owed me some money. And so I was thinking, man, I'm either going to, because I had been giving him chance after chance after chance to pay me. And I did him a favor. And in prison, if you don't get paid, other people are going to try to. And then I'm with the gang, so it's even worse. So I said, finally made up my mind. I said, man, I'm going to go get this guy. I said, I'm either going to scar his face or break his hip. It was something I had been dealing with. And I said, so I was going to scar his face. So if he ever, when he looks in the mirror, he's going to know, hey, I got that scar because I wouldn't pay this guy his money. Or when I break his hip, every time he walked, he was going to walk with a limp and say, this happened because, like I said, my old mentality, this is just the way I really was. So when I had finally made up my mind, hey, I'm going to go get this guy, that I call home, hey, Mom, how you doing? Because I know now, once I go do what I'm about to go do, I don't know when I'm going to see my parents again or talk to them because they're going to take my phone away. I'm going to go in the hole again. Or tell them where I get sent to now. I already know the routine. Put on plane again. So I go and call home to tell them, hey, Mom, how you doing? And I'm in Maryland now. Mind you now, just after I done got that right, I'm in Maryland. This guy owes me some money. I call home to say, Mom, I'll talk to you later. I love y'all. Just call to say hi. How you doing? And when me and my mom were going to hang up, I said, hey, Mom. And she goes, hey, your father's here. He wants to talk to you. And I said, all right, Mom, I love you. And hey, Dad, what's going on? Hey, son, how you doing? He goes, hey, Jamie, I had a dream about you. And I said, well, what's going on, Dad? He said, I had a dream that I was waiting for you at the gate. And you were supposed to come out. And he said, but when I see you in the dream, you're not where you're supposed to come out. You're way at the back of the line. He said, way at the back. And I said, what, Dad? He goes, yeah. He goes, I can tell you were supposed to have been in the line here. I'm waiting for you. He goes, but you got moved way to the back. You're at the back of the line. And it was way at the. And right there in my mind, I said, God, that's you. But I didn't tell him. I was raised Christian, like. And I said, oh, Dad, for real? I said, oh, man, Dad, I don't. Okay, Dad, I'll go think on it. And I said, all right, I'll talk to you later. Love you, Dad. And I hung up. And I went up to my cell. I said, God, and I'm not saved now. I'm not saved. This is. I want to say basically this is part of God using to the conversion. And I said, God, I know that was you because my dad is in Texas. I'm in Maryland. He has no idea what I'm about to go do, And that's what I'm saying. Even God would let you, because I already had made up my mind to go get this guy. I was going to get him. Well, what I figure out later on, and I'm thinking, I said, man, in the process of me trying to scar him or break his hip, I said, I was probably going to wind up killing him. Because like I said before, a lot of murders in prison were accident, So I already had planned to pull him off his bunk and, hit him in who knows. So I said, you know what? And as an unsaved man, I was still trying to figure out how to go get him. I was like, oh, I was the anger. I said, Lord, I know that was you that talked to my dad. I said, I give that debt to you. And I left him alone. And maybe 2-3 months later, and that guy invited me, and I wound up giving my life to the Lord. And so that's what I was going back to the dream. That's how I know God works in dreams. People might say, "Oh no, He works in dreams," because there's no way my dad knew what I was about to do. None. And so that's how dreams and when I'd come home and stuff like that. But that's what I mean is I went back and forth because I remember the dream. But yes, when I come home, that's when dreams and my father and that's what I mean. My mother had told me don't, but I had finally repented. And when my dad told me that in that church, that's where that went from. Because my dad said, "There's some guys in Mexico. They're calling you. Don't do it." And I was like, it was to that, but he had no idea I talked to that guy in Mexico. And I just shook my head and I said, "You know what, Lord, help me come back." From that moment on, I was still going and drinking, but it was like filth, and I would get so, you know. And then after I done, the next day I'd wake up crying, "Lord, help me come back. I don't want to live this life no more. I didn't like it then. I said, help me come back." And then so I would even go and cry. I said, "I know, Lord, the calling on my life is done, but I just don't want to live like this." I would say that. I said, "I know because they had told me I was going to be a preacher." I'm talking about God has done many miracles. This one man grabbed me, didn't even know who I was. He was a preacher and prayed over me, and God's going to use you mightily. And then I get out of prison and I fall. So I said, "You know what, Lord, I know your calling on my life is done. I know I've messed up so many times." So I said, "Lord, I just don't want to drink no more. I don't want to live this life. I know I'm done. This is the enemy's telling me. Now I know." So I just said, "Lord, I don't want to do this no more. I just let me go to church, come home with the family, go eat, and come home." And so it was a gradual, slow. And actually, he used the song. I'll be honest. I was riding home one day after I done messed up the night before, and it's called "It's Only Grace" by Matthew West. I even got it saved in my phone now. It's only grace, and what it's saying is, today is a new day. Your sins are over now. What you've done yesterday is done and gone. So I'm crying now. I'm listening to the song and I'm crying, and I said, "Lord, I know you played this song for me. It said it's a new day. And in other words, your sins are washed. It's done." And then from that day on, I said, "I'm done." I didn't have another drink. I didn't go hang on my I quit hanging around. I just stayed home reading my Bible. See, sometimes you just got to leave your old friends alone. Just get away. You can't be going around. In other words, to have this walk with Christ, because they're going to pull you back to what you used to be. You see, and so I thank God that's how now I know the difference in a fall and a backslide, because the Bible says when you backslide, that means when you totally turn away, that means you don't even care no more. It doesn't even hurt you no more that you're off drinking and partying and doing what you're not supposed to. You're just living a life. Well, I thought I failed because it was still like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And that's why I praise God from that fall, what he's done in my life. Oh, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
to tie in, to wrap up on your story, like we could talk about the accomplishments and the things that you've really got to do now that since you gave your life to the Lord, and the things that you were able to do that you never thought you would have ever done if you never were able to change it around like this in this kind of way.
Yeah, and going off a little on the other, is that if you've fallen, if you're walking and you think God is done with you, no, he because like I said a second ago, and I said, "Oh God, I know the calling on my life is done. I know I'm done for, but I just want to be a Christian." The Lord said, "No, that calling is still there. I'm preaching now because this happened in 2000. I got out in 2010. That happened during the fall. So since 11, I've been back praising, worshiping, preaching. See, the calling of my life is still there. It was the enemy telling me he's done with you. He's mad at you. He saved you from so many things. That's it, yo." So I'm here to tell you, no, your life is still there. God still got that calling. So, and going back what you're saying. So from that fall, I was dating she's my wife now, and I get out. We start talking again. Hey, and um, she wasn't say I was, and I say, "You know what? Hey, I'm gonna serve God, and it's up to you." She goes, "Yeah, everybody serves God when they get out of prison." So what the miracles I've seen God do since I've been out is that like I said, I got saved. She was my girlfriend then. She said, "Yeah, everybody gets saved," but like she saw my walk 3 to 4 months in. She was like, "Yeah, everybody gets saved when they get out of prison." She just blew me to the side. So I didn't tell her nothing no more, and I just started doing my walk. And she said, "You know what? About three." She goes, "You know what? I'm gonna go to church with you." And I said, "What? Why you gonna go to church with me?" She said, "I seen the change in you." And she said, "This is real." She said, "This is real because I remember what you used to be." And then she accepted Christ. And then she accepted Christ. And then this was in January, June of no, July of 2011. Me and my wife walked down that little certain. There wasn't nothing big. Went and got married, and next thing you know, it, my wife's in law enforcement. I'm a federal felon, TDC felon. I mean, what God does, you know. And then we got married 11. My daughter was born in 2013, and going on to that, brought up my family. You know, I had two sons before when I was in the streets. And testimony time, thinking of this video, my oldest son. So when I had got out, I went and grabbed my sons. I apologized to them. Hey, I know I was never there for you. I'm not gonna be act like, oh no. I said I'm saved now though. I've never done this before. 'Cause I've been in and out, and I'm like, oh, they knew who I was. I used to think that, oh, I was built for a cage, and that's a lie. So I never apologized to my kids. But this time I'm saved, and I grabbed it. I have two older sons, you know, and I grabbed them and I said, look, I'm sorry. You know, my older son is Aaron, my little son, my younger son, but they're not young. They're 32 and 29 now. And I said, Jamie, you know, I'm sorry, man, you know, for what I've done. And I apologize to both my kids. And because they were 8 and 11 when I left this last time, and they were 18 and 15 when I got out this time. And in those 7 years, I only saw them twice. And so I got out and I apologized to him. I said, look, I'm sorry. And I know the Lord's gonna restore our relationship because like from the last video, my older son, Aaron, we were in contact more. Hey, son. And I went and saw my grandson, which is his son named Aaron, little Aaron. I went to go see him play football. So, you know, the Lord is there's stuff
That's
moving
awesome.
on, you know. Yeah. So I got to see my son. I got to see my grandson, Aaron, little Aaron. Then so I know my other son is coming. You know, I'm just leaving in the Lord's hands. But moving on to the Lord is giving me a wife. He's giving me a new family, you know. And I ain't forgot my old. I love my other two sons. I pray for them daily. And I can't wait till the Lord open that door and that we just move on, you know. And so, but now I'm married. My daughter is 11 years old now, and my son is 4. But not only is a God giving me his family, my daughter actually runs on this track team, made it to the Junior Olympics. I was in North Carolina. I was stuff that I never dreamed of or thought of that I'd be a part of because, you know, I was always in prison. So I'm over here, team dad now, carrying and stuff. And then not only that, this was really amazing is that the people he's introduced me into is okay. I'm from Austin. Well, what's big here is the Texas Longhorns. Texas Longhorns is Austin Tech. That's so. Come to find out on this track team, a lot of a few, more than one, are ex Longhorn football players, and I'm walking in and I hear a name, and I'm like, I know that name because I grew up and I love football. That's what I used to love football. I was a good football player, and I even left school because I failed out as football and I never went back again. But football, I love football. Texas Longhorns, and I was watching. So I'm hearing names, and I'm like, I know that name. I used to watch it. I'm saying, is that so and so? They're like, yeah, that's. So I'm there on the field, like, man. And then a few of them went on to become great in the NFL, and I'm sitting there like, God, this is you. Only you can take this inmate and now I'm over here. My daughter's running with these you know, and some of the coaches are the coach for the track, but my kids run with their kids, And I'm like, God, this is you. This is you. And there's some we've spoken to about the Lord, but there's another dream real quick. And because one day I had a dream when I was in prison that I was riding in the car with Fat Joe the rapper.
Really?
Yeah, I had a dream. This was 16 years ago.
What
I
was it
just got
about?
saved. And that's what it was. So I'm riding in the car. We're just riding in a nice car, me and Fat Joe. And I woke up the next day, man, my head was down because I said, man, and there was another guy in the church and he goes, well, why are you looking sad? He could tell there's something wrong with me. I said, man, I'm gonna go back because when it's a God dream, it's so vivid. I still remember to this day, and it was 16 years ago, like if it was yesterday. I had my head down. I said, man, I'm gonna go back to selling drugs, man. And he said, well, why you say that? I said, man, I had a dream. I was riding in the car with Fat Joe. Well, when I used to listen to that type of music, I was doing stuff. He goes, were you doing anything wrong? I said, no, we were just riding. We're actually smiling. He said, God is going to use you to bring stars, famous people to him. And I looked at him and I said, I'm just saved. And I said, okay, and I just took it with, and I said, well, fast forward now, I'm over here literally because these people are real famous, like in sports world. The people that I know now, some of them are like one of them's nominated for the Hall of Fame, in football. Not saying he's gonna get it, but I hope he does because I've told him. I said I'm praying. I hope you get it because I'm gonna go to Canton, Ohio when you do. I'm gonna go see you get that trophy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he does get it. But
Mhm.
God has brought these people around that I never thought that I would be around. My kids are hanging out with their kids, and we're going to track meets, and I sit here and I say, Lord, this is you. This is this is only you. I can't. And so going on that, there was something one of them said to me. I was there, and we're in North Carolina, and he was an ex-Longhorn great, but he wound up getting hurt. He would have went and played in the pros, but he wound up like on every movie. The last game it was a bowl game, and he was gonna and go on to the pros, and he wound up hurting his leg. Right. Well, this man, he's become a good friend of mine, and so we were there and we talk about God. When I see him, a big part of why I like going to the track. And when he's there, he gives me a big old hug. And I used to watch this guy run the ball on TV. And I'm like, man, I'm sitting here and I used to watch this game. I'm like, man, I know who you are. I used to watch you play. And so we became friends and got his number. And every time I see him, gives me a big old hug. And then I said, man, do you know how great God is? What I love really, we talk about God. And I said, man, do you know how great God is? And we're in North Carolina now. I'm over here at the track meet. We're in North Carolina. And I said, man, you know how great God is? He's like, what, brother? He told me. I said, do you know on the weekends what me and my wife used to do? Until he got to say what? I said, I'd be in my cell getting ready. And my wife would be, because to get into that event, it was a big, huge, it's like Junior Olympics. There was metal detectors. I said, my wife would have to come to the metal detectors like that. And I would be in the cell getting ready. And I said, I'd be at visits. And I said, look at us now. I'm over here in North Carolina with stars. Y'all played football. Y'all were great. I used to watch y'all. And I said, look, God brought me to meet guys like y'all. And, he told me something. And I got, teared up. He goes, no, you know what's crazy? I'm so glad that I got to meet you. And when he told me that, I got choked up. My eyes got watering. And I said, man. And I said, God, and I hugged him and he walked off and I went and I'll be honest, I got a little teary eyed and I said, Lord, I never thought my life would be like this. When he told me that, this guy used to play football, said that it was something to meet me. I just said, God, that's you. That is all you, Lord. And I just, just honor him. And that's what I'm saying. Anybody watching this, I don't care where you're at, what you're doing. God got that plan and purpose for your life. It's so, and like we we're talking, Adrian, I was in shock when he told me that. I'm like, Me. I'm in all that I'm seeing y'all, and and that's what I'm saying. When God does this miracle, this is the life I'm living now. Track is about to start again. I'm about to go hang out and see these guys again. Hey, how y'all doing? And just I said, never in a million years did I ever think that I was gonna be doing this. But there was one of them. He's a Christian. He told me something. He's all-time tackler for a major uh pro team. One day I was talking to him and I said, man, I said, you're very humble for being this. I seen you on TV and you played for the Texas Longhorn. They went on the pro. I said, man, I remember watching you. And I said, man, you're very humble. You're over here. I'm just the average Joe. And he told me something I'll never forget. He goes, I don't judge myself by man. He goes, I judge myself by Christ. And he goes, I'm just an ordinary. I said, man. And when he said that, I'm like, because this guy, if he really wanted to, he could just walk where he wanted and people would run up to him and get autographs from him. Humble guy. I was sitting there and also one of them, the one who's nominated for Hall of Fame, the reason why I'm real big on him is because when I go over there and I know who this guy is, he grabs my daughter and he starts training her and he putting this time with her. And I'm thinking, I'm not another player's kid. I'm just this average Joe. And I sit there and I'm watching him just spend this time, my daughter getting her ready, stretch her. Hey, this is what you do. And he's putting all this time. And I just look at him. And I said, after that, that's it. I said, anything he needs, I'm help because I just see him pouring this time into my daughter. Another thing, like this guy, he could be vacationing now. He's done had this long career and he could be doing anything he wants. He's over here training these kids for free. He's not getting paid for this stuff.
And then I think he is doing what he wants.
Yes.
I think he is.
Amen. And so me, I'm thinking from an average Joe. Me, if you give me that money, I'm tired of working out this sun. I'm gonna go in and relax,
Yeah.
because he put in his time because he got injuries. He can only move. I've seen him run. And he's like, his back. So he's got pain. He had a good career, and so that's what I mean. He's over here with these kids on his own time, and that's another thing that impressed me. Like, man, this for free. Me, I'm out here because my daughter's out here. If I had money, I think I'd be in the shade. I think, but no, he's out there in the heat because it's hot. It's during the summer, and he's out there just training these kids. And another thing, he stopped, tied this kid's shoe, and I'm like, you know what? And that's what I'm saying. This is a life I have now. God is just so wonderful to me. It's hard to explain all this stuff.
Yeah, surrounded you with good people, the ones that you need to have the influence around you to push you to be to better your, continue to push you to be better. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's better, be better every day with it. But no, that's that's quite the story. I mean, this is a good part 3, Jamie. I think we covered quite a bit from the prison stories on why you shouldn't go to prison, and then the struggles of coming out and just stumbling and not having the official backslide, you know what I mean, but just falling down and then eventually getting past that part and having the full circle and being around good people and just really feeling blessed to be around and being able to do cool things. I mean, that's a full circle right there, Jamie. So I mean, I think that you've had quite the journey, man. That's for sure.
And you know what I do hear God tell me? I'm in a maze. I'll be in prayer in my house, and I'll hear Him in my spirit because He speaks to us. It's right there in the Bible. He goes, "What I do then," He said, "I'm the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. What I did back then, He'll do now." I'll be praying, and I'll hear Him. I'll hear Him in my spirit say, "You haven't seen nothing yet." Well, let me go back real quick because one time I was in prison. I wasn't even saved, and I was sitting on my bunk, and I used to sit there and say, my life's over. This is what I'm going to be. So this is what I might as well. I was built for a cage. And I used to tell, that's the devil. Now I know it's the devil talking to me. And I'm over here having a conversation with the devil. Not understanding, now that I'm saved, now I know what was going on. I'm thinking these are my own thoughts. And I'm sitting there on the bunk, and I said, yeah, this is my life. This is what I was built for. I'm made for this cage. So I was tell myself that. And that's why I kept going back. And finally one day I was sitting there and I said, man, this is my life. I said, my life is over. This is just what it's gonna be. Now I know it's God, but at the time I had a feeling that said, your life ain't over, it's just begun. You haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
And now I know it was God. And
Mhm.
now I'm over here praying, and I hear him say, you haven't seen nothing yet.
Exactly.
Your life hasn't even begun. He goes, just wait and what I'm gonna do with you, you know.
Mhm.
And that's what I mean, how God has just been moving,
Yeah.
moving in my life now since I've been out of prison, and what I'm
Right.
doing and how
Oh yeah.
and going and talking to the kids,
Mhm.
uh going to the jail. This was crazy. I remember I went to go visit uh my first in the jail. I went to go visit my somebody's kid. And now I have a lot of respect for what people went through to go see me. I never, because when I even went to go visit him, I sat on the glass and I said, I've never been on this side of the glass. I've always been on that side. Man, people who go visit people, I honor them, I respect, because what you got to go through, I had to take off my boots, I had to get in line, I had to go to this metal detector. If I had the wrong thing, they sent me back. I didn't realize what I was doing. And plus, when you're unsaved, you don't care. In the area, all of a sudden you get sentimental. You start writing these letters home. Oh, I'm sorry, but then you get out and you go do it again. You know. So, and when I had went to go do my first visitation, now I do them, and I'm like, I just sat there and I said, man, I did this to all these people for all these years, because I would get visits when I was gone in jail, prisons, and county jails, and I said, man, and that's why I thank God that He's changed my life, and I'm not doing none of that stuff no more.
Right.
I
Yeah.
praise Him, but I give salute to people who go in there and visit, and because
Mhm.
I'm doing it now, and I can't believe what we were putting our families through. That's why I
Mhm.
pray for everybody who's in jail, and not, don't be doing this to your family no more.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, Jamie, I do appreciate you taking out the time and coming on today and sharing. Part three is again, and I just do appreciate it, man. I think we did what we needed to cover, and I think you did more than what you wanted to with glorifying and doing
yeah,
doing it in that way,
yeah.
and just making sure that we cover what we needed to in that way. So, uh,
Yeah.
anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just want people to understand, please don't do this to your family. Oh, because I forgot that one story. It was real quick. I had come home from prison, and my mom, I went to go visit my mom, and I'm saved now. So my mom is like, hey, Mila, how you doing? And I'm out of prison serving God. And then she goes, hey, here, this is your life insurance. Take it over now. I'm not paying on it. It's yours. And I said, well, what are you talking about? Life insurance? Because we're that typical Hispanic family. We don't have life insurances, and we weren't. And I said, well, what is this? And it hurt, but I gotta understand this is what I was doing. So my mom goes, well, now you're saved. She goes, here, look, this life insurance yours. She goes, back when you were like 17, 18 years old, you come walking through the gate. And she said, it just so happened one of them life insurance people was on the porch talking to my mom, trying to get my mom to buy insurance, life insurance. So as I come to the gate as a teenager, 17, 18 years old, I come in from partying all night, and she looked over at me. She said, I don't know. I go to the room. I go pass out. She goes, well, do you have anything for him? How old is he? 17, 18. Oh, yeah, real cheap. We'll give you 100,000. And he looks, and because my mom tells, she goes, look, we don't have no money, and I'm not going to have no money to bury him. She said, so I need a life insurance because the life he's living, when he passes, I'll have some money to bury him. And when she told me that at the table, I'm saved now, and I just put my head down. Another time I get watery eyed and I say, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I put you through. But like I said, now she's like, oh, mijo, don't worry about anything you've done now that I've changed. But that story has stuck with me, how I had put so much strain on my mom and dad. She went and bought a life insurance. She told them, I don't have no money to bury him. So when he winds up getting killed in the streets, she goes, I can have some money to bury him.
There.
And so that's why I thank God that my life changed. Now my mom, like I said last time, she's happy, not worried, gave me the life insurance. I don't even think I have it. I'm like, because it was only for so long. I'm done turn.
Right.
I'm about to
Term.
be 50. Yeah, it's a term, and it's
Term one.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thank God that He's changed my life and everything's done. And like I said earlier, whoever's seeing this is by no mistake. God got a plan, a calling, a purpose for your life. You haven't. In other words, did something so wrong that your life is done or your calling is gone, and people are going to say, how you know? Because you wouldn't be seeing the video. If God didn't want nothing to do with you, you're not going to come across anything that has to do with Him. And you're seeing this video for a reason, because God is not done with you. He's calling you back. If you've been with Him and left, He's calling you back. And if you're not and you're on the fence, He's telling you He has a beautiful life for you. He wants you. There isn't nothing you've done that you can't be forgiven for, because like I said, you wouldn't be seeing this video. God still got that plan and purpose for your life, and it's a beautiful life on this side.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll just end it there. Thank you, everyone.
Jamie shared with us today some wild stories on why you should avoid prison at all costs. A lot of us already know that, but for the people out there that may be involved with crime, this is an outcome that you are potentially facing by doing what you're doing right now. Jamie was very blessed to be able to learn about God so much while he was in prison. I mean, imagine nothing but 2 years straight learning about God and the Bible and everything else. Even though after he became a free man though, he had some slip-ups, but he was able to overcome them. Just because he learned so much doesn't mean that he was invincible. He's still a human. He has been able to do some incredible things since he has given his life over to the Lord. Part 1 and Part 2 of Jamie's stories can be found in the video description below. I highly recommend watching those if you haven't watched them yet. You'll get a full, more in-depth understanding on what Jamie went through and how he gave his life to the Lord. Please comment any key takeaways that you got from this podcast with Jamie. Please share it with anyone that you think needs to hear this podcast. Also, please just share it with anyone that loves a great redemption story. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's podcast. Hit the notification bell if you want to get notified when the next podcast drops. There's also a Cash App in the video description if you want to support me in that way. Please hit subscribe if you haven't yet. At the end of this video, 2 playlists will pop up. Thank you again so much for watching, and of course, we'll see everyone on the next one.